time to break down the Yahoo Fantasy Football DFS slate for Week 9 NFL. The 250K baller we have this week, 25K to first place, $10 entry fee. With me, as always, or returning, I should say, from a week off, Alex Osmo Baker, the world's #1 fantasy player in the world. It was beautiful the way I just said that. Alex, what's going on?
Not much, man. Excited to get back into it because last week I didn't get to build the winning lineup with you here.
I
So,
know, right? Your ROI for the season just fell.
did you? How did you guys fare last week?
Actually, I think we crashed. We didn't build lineups, so
Okay.
I think we did all right with nothing to write home about though. So
Okay.
not with that. We need your expertise on this show.
All right. Let's try to give these guys something where they can split this 25K with us.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to split with everyone who is watching this show right now. So if you haven't been over to Yahoo, they've got lots of stuff going on. It is my favorite site to play so far this year on a multitude of sports. I've been using your NBA projections and I've cashed every single night on the NBA slate. Just playing one team. I'm not a big NBA guy, but those projections are so good. Just fire them up and just win some free money, pretty much. And then, of course, we've got NHL, we've got NFL. They've got soccer as well. They've got EPL over on Yahoo. So every Saturday, EMAC has an article coming out breaking down the Yahoo baller. There's a link in that article. You can click on it and head on over and get $30 in free YSRP points. That you can just use promo code AWESOMO and they will hook you up. So I recommend it. It is a great spot, especially if you're new to fantasy or you're doing pretty new, because there are just not as many sharp players over on Yahoo yet. So get on over there and play this Sunday.
Yeah, man. I see they have some pretty good contests here for NBA. I mean, 50K baller like every day.
I know, right?
Dude, that's nice. I mean, they're definitely making a case for being where you should put your money in on NBA and certainly NFL. NBA, I mean, like it's so much about late news that you want to be playing on a site where you're quicker to react than everyone else. And
Yep.
for a lot of guys like me, I mean, Yahoo is it's a little bit less volume than some other sites. But if you're not playing more than $1,000 a day, it can make a lot of sense to really dedicate yourself to a site like Yahoo, where a lot of the sharks aren't going to be that quick to react.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other things I really like about Yahoo as well is you just have the management feed placed right up top on the top of that screen. So, and it's usually between 10 to 12%, which seems like infinitely fair to me. So, yeah, there we go. That's our spiel, Yahoo. So for today's show, we are going to do our usual thing where we break down and give out some analysis and thoughts on the top 5 highest total games of the week. Slim pickings this week. We do not have a lot of high total games, but there are some good ones. And as well, you do get to play. One of the advantages of the Yahoo slate is you get to play the Sunday nighter. We get the Ravens and Patriots. That should be a good one. I am sure that Lamar Jackson will be coming up. After we break down those 5 games, we are going to go into some lineup building. We're going to build 2 GPP lineups. We're going to build 1 cash lineup, and then we are going to win all the money. Sound good?
Yeah, man. I don't hate winning a lot of money.
Awesome. All right, let's kick it off with the highest total game of the week. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to Seattle to play the Seahawks. 52.5 total. Seattle favored by 5.5 points. What are your general thoughts on this one, Alex?
Man, I mean, Jameis Winston has been really slinging it this year, as kind of we expected. And there's 2 guys, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, where like each week it's like one of their turns. So I mean, it's gonna be a coin flip which one it is this week. They're both like really, really expensive too, though. So it's gonna be a little bit hard to stack it up, but certainly this has to be one of the favorite games.
Yeah, you're right. So we have Mike Evans at $30 and Chris Godwin at $29, both getting an A grade for points from you, but a D grade for value just because of those price points. If you are stacking up this game, we haven't really seen it happen much where both of them go off in the same one. Is that something that you will end up stacking here? Like, will you go to both of these guys in a Winston stack, or are you just looking to pair them up with one?
Yeah, I mean, if you go for both, that gives you additional correlation in your lineup, so I think that's the advantage. But when you're spending $30 on two receivers, maybe you won't like the rest of your lineup that much, and we would really need some good value plays around that. So we'll have to kind of dig through and see if that kind of value exists today.
And it doesn't look like just your overall thoughts on this slate. There's not a ton of value like we've seen other weeks, right? Is there anyone catching your eye where we've had like a Wayne Gallman who's like just a lock? Anyone like that on this Yahoo slate that's catching your eye as a great value?
Not yet. I think there's potential maybe if there's some injuries that we find out today. But right now, the highest owned guys I'm getting in my lineup are kind of the usual suspects.
Yeah, that's exactly what I first thought when I saw this slate. It's like, all right, well, if you're going to pay up, you're going to need those value options, but we just don't have as many of them as we are used to. So maybe we'll talk about it today and we can unearth some plays. What about so let's finish things off with the Tampa side of things here. Looks like OJ Howard, I believe he was just officially ruled out. Don't quote me on that. I thought I saw a Schefter tweet. We have tight end Cameron Brate for $12. You're giving him a terrible grade, but I'm assuming those projections are likely due to the fact that you are assuming OJ Howard was playing. He will probably get a little bit of a bump. Brate as well, though, had a nagging injury and missed practice earlier this week. He is questionable. So he did return to practice, so I would expect him to play. Any Brate or any of this Tampa Bay running game from you if without OJ Howard out?
Yeah, I'll have to go through and update my projections. I think that Brate, I found last week, he was ending up in some of my lineups just because you do get a little bit of extra correlation when you pair him with maybe Mike Evans and Godwin with Winston. So it's kind of a reasonable play, but he's not going to blow away any sort of projection system because he just doesn't get targeted that much. So definitely kind of someone where if he fits, I might consider him, but not my favorite. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I feel like if you need the savings or something, like this is a pretty gross week for tight end. We're missing a lot of the top tight end options on the slate. We have Travis Kelce, of course, as the most expensive tight end on Yahoo, but with Matt Moore throwing him the ball instead of Pat Mahomes, that's got to be a bit of a downgrade. And really, a lot of these tight ends are in kind of tough spots and they don't grade out very well. I think you're going to see a lot of ownership head towards Darren Waller, and so finding a cheap tight end is actually pretty difficult on this slate. Yes, OJ Howard has been ruled out for this week. So if you do need to pay down, I think he's probably one of the better options with Howard out. We've seen Winston target him in the red zone, and Seattle just kind of, I think, middle of the pack at defending tight ends, though I would double check on that one. Let's move over to the Seattle side of this game. We have, I'm guessing, let's see, Russell Wilson, the most expensive quarterback in the slate, $38. And then, of course, we have his two favorite wide receivers, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. What are you doing with the Seattle passing game this week?
I feel like it's going to be a little bit overrated. I mean, Tampa Bay's pass defense is about average so far. And Russell Wilson has been having an MVP caliber year. But the problem is Seattle just doesn't run the ball enough. They don't pass the ball enough. They run about half the time. And that's a much higher mark than what you really want when you're getting a $38 quarterback. So I think I might be a little bit lower than the public on Seattle this week.
Makes sense, and you do have to pay up for them. One of the advantages we do have is that it looks like Lockett and Metcalf have pretty much secured the top two spots in this Seattle receiving core. 92% offensive snap count for them. What about Chris Carson? He gets a pretty good value from here, a double B value. This Tampa Bay run defense has been fairly stout this week, though. Ben and I were just talking about the fact that it has been a little bit weak according to PFF's run defense grades recently. It has been lowering a little bit as the season's gone on. Do you like Carson? I'm guessing he'll be a contrarian play because the narrative is that Tampa Bay has been one of the better run defenses in the entire NFL this year.
That's true. They have not allowed that many yards per attempt on the ground, so it is a little bit of a tougher matchup. One of the reasons I don't love Carson is because Russell Wilson has shown a clear tendency to pass for more touchdowns than you'd expect for the yardage. So I think that the converse of that is that it takes more yardage for them to run the ball in. So
Right.
what the trend has been for Seattle over the past few years is that running backs get touchdowns less frequently than you'd expect.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. I just looked up the Seattle defense against tight ends as well, 25th in DVO against tight ends. So perhaps not the worst play this week. I guess this will probably come down a little bit to game script and whether or not Seattle can get up early and establish the run. Is there like an ownership number that you would happily play Chris Carson at? You'd be more likely to play him if he was super low owned, or what's your exposure going to be to someone like Chris Carson this week?
Well, I think that he's not one of my top running backs, but that $22 price tag isn't a top price tag. So I think that actually is a little bit low compared to where I have him, and he seems like a great value at $22 this week.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, and I don't think people are going to be on him. $22 seems like one of the better options on the Yahoo slate. At least it's a pretty decent bargain. So, all right, let's move it on. I've got to pull up the NFL lines here for our second game of the day. We have the 50-point total. We have the Detroit Lions at the Oakland Raiders. Really interesting matchup here. I'm not quite sure what to do with this. I guess initially I was a little bit surprised that the total was so high, but when we really think about it, it kind of makes sense, especially because Oakland's been playing some shootouts recently. Do you have any general thoughts on your Lions here as they travel out west to Oakland?
I mean, this is a great matchup for both offenses. Derrick Henry has been surprisingly good this year, averaging about 7.5 yards per pass. I guess maybe surprisingly good that he's average in that category might be how I'd sum it up. But average is good enough to have a pretty good shot at being the best quarterback of the week. On the Lions side, I mean, Matthew Stafford has been kind of like the Matthew Stafford we were used to a few years ago, where he's like slinging it downfield. So he makes a nice GPP play every week.
Yeah, it's amazing. We got Darren Bevel calling plays for the Detroit Lions, and they've somehow become a shootout offense. I don't even know what to make of that one. So crazy stuff going on in Detroit. What about these Detroit wide receivers? We've got Kenny Golladay, we've got Marvin Jones, and we've got Danny Amendola. They seem to be taking the vast majority of the snaps here. Do you have any interest in these guys?
Well, it looks like Golladay is 25. That is quite expensive for a guy that maybe hasn't differentiated himself enough from Marvin Jones and Danny Amendola to this point. But I mean, he's a talented guy. 25 would be a price where maybe I consider him if I had a Lions stack, but not as a one-off. Amendola is 15. Marvin Jones, for some reason, I'm not seeing him here. Well, let's type his name in.
Let's take a look.
18. So, 18. I think, these guys seem pretty fairly priced to me. Is there any one of them that's really jumping out at you?
I mean, I guess with the price discrepancy, you probably lean towards Marvin Jones, and then I think Amendola is generally just going to be your kind of low on GPP flyer, or someone that you would use in some stacks to differentiate off the chalk. So I'm kind of with you there. I feel like I'm not going to be getting to Kenny Golladay as a one-off play, but as part of some Detroit stacks, I feel like his price point may keep some people off. So I'm totally with you as well. Oakland 29th DVOA at defending number 1 wide receivers, 26th at number 2 wide receivers, and also really bad against the tight end position. Do you have any interest in TJ Hawkinson this week? He hasn't really done much, not really getting a huge snap share, but this is a pretty good matchup in a high total game.
Yeah, I mean, he's been decent this year. 6.5 fantasy points per game is a little bit lower than I expect this week. Where he has that positive matchup, so I think that he makes sense. $13. As you said, it's a little bit hard to get to the bargain tight ends this week with guys like Darren Waller on the other side, but it's certainly a reasonable price for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're going to be stacking this one up, you're probably thinking that Darren Waller is the tight end coming back. So it's going to be very rare to see people game stack this and have TJ Hawkinson in the tight end spot. So Very contrarian move there, though. I'm not sure it's overly optimal. What about the running game for the Detroit Lions here? We haven't really. It's looking more and more like this is going to be a running back by committee with J.D. McKissick, Trey Carson, who I believe was injured. I'll have to check that, and Ty Johnson, each getting between 25 and 40% of the offensive snaps. Do you have any interest in these guys?
Yeah, I mean, we were all kind of tilted last week when Carson got the start over Ty Johnson. But, yeah, no, Nolan, man, you blew your budget. I hate to rub it in.
I'm
terrible
at the wire, man. I'm terrible. You can manage my waiver wire budget next year, all right?
You saved me because I bid like $60 on him in our Yahoo league. But
well, it could have been worse. I don't know if I had a couple beers or what, but I spent $80 in another league on Carrion Johnson instead. So too many Johnsons apparently. You can't keep track of them.
Oh no, man, that's rough.
Yeah, pretty bad.
I think maybe just stick the best ball on Yahoo.
You're right.
But yeah. So what I saw in the box score last week, Carson got majority of the runs. Ty Johnson saw a lot of the passing attempts, but McKissick also got a lot of routes too. So I have to agree with your assessment here. Running back by committee, it's going to be like too hard to. None of these guys are really good because the workload split up too much.
Yeah, exactly. And your grades reflect that. Although they are all cheap, they all have terrible grades and terrible values. So probably not going to be going to the Lions passing attack with a running game this week, but that does make their passing attack a little bit possibly more viable. Let's switch over to the Raiders side of this game. We have Terrell Williams, we have Darren Waller, we have Derek Carr. Are you high on Waller this week? It looks like he's one of the better graded valued players in your rankings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you just go off his numbers this year, he's phenomenal. Like, let me just bring him up here. But I keep having to nerf his stats every week. He's caught 80% of his passes, 10.8 yards per catch. Yeah, it's like that's more than 8 yards per pass. And that's a really, really efficient number, and he's getting targeted a ton too. So every category he's just like exceptional, and he's only $21. So that's pretty appealing.
It is looking like, though, he will be I'm guessing, the highest owned tight end on the slate, probably by a wide margin, though. So just be cognizant of that when you're building lineups. Any Josh Jacobs here?
Yeah, I think 24 is pretty fair. I mean, this is a guy who has a pretty high workload every week. I mean, the matchup versus the Lions, the Raiders are supposed to score 26 points, and that's pretty favorable for every skill position player. So I think that I might end up with some Jacobs. How about you?
Yeah, I don't hate the spot, and I think people are probably going to be off it a little bit. He's seen his snap count go up. His share of the offense is up. Detroit run defense has not been great this year, I believe. Just looking it up last week, they've been pretty bad from a fantasy perspective and a real life perspective. I was on Saquon last week, didn't really pan out, but I'm with you there, and I think like you can either you could stack Jacobs up, or you could just use them as a one-off as well. So there's lots to like about using Jacobs on this slate at that price for sure. All right, let's move it on up. Oh, just one final question: are you going to be stacking these Raiders? Do you like the Derek Carr, Williams, Waller stack? Is there any way to differentiate there? Or are you just going to use Carr and Waller? Like, what's your take on how to stack this one?
So I think Tyrell Williams is a bit overpriced at 20. He's definitely taking a clear backseat to Waller when they're both in the game, so not as appealing to me. I think that this 14 fantasy points per game may be a little misleading to how good he's been. Yeah, so I think that my preference would be just Waller and Carr. But, I mean, certainly having more correlation is better, so there would be argument for throwing in maybe Tyrell.
All right, makes sense to me. Let's move it on. We got the 248.5 point total games. We have, let's start out with the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings possibly without Adam Thielen this week. Is that finger doing any better? What are your general thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was kind of assuming that Thielen would play, but let's see what the it's so
Correct on a
limited.
limited basis on Thursday, so we should know pretty quickly. I would assume that means um, he is good to go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, Minnesota is a team that just doesn't pass the ball a ton, so it's hard to love them, but uh, a lot of it might depend on whether Mahomes plays. Right now, he is doubtful, but the statistic I look at more than that is that there's no Vegas line yet for this game, and a couple of sites did post a line where Kansas City was the favorite, and that makes me think maybe he has a better chance of playing than this doubtful tag indicates. If he does, then I mean Minnesota will have to pass the ball a ton to keep up with Kansas City potentially, and that makes Diggs and Thielen like way better plays. But if he's out, then maybe going to Cook could be the play, but he's so expensive, it might be hard to get to him.
Yeah, that's the thing. $39 for Dalvin Cook, man. That's a tough price to pay, but maybe against this terrible Kansas City Chiefs run defense, it might work. Are you buying in? Are you on the Adam ship my money injured wide receiver at 1% ownership train in this one? Maybe
Is that Thielen?
if he's like maybe he's questionable, maybe people don't want to play him. Kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah. I mean that could work. I mean the price tag of 28. That's like if he was one of the best top 10 wideouts in the league this year. But I mean he's only averaged 13.5 points a game. I think that might even be a little high because I know he got quite a few touchdowns. So I just think that Minnesota passes the ball way too much, so it's hard to love any receiver. I mean, they run the ball too much.
All right, let's check out the Kansas City side of the ball here. Any love for this Kansas City passing offense with Matt Moore at the helm?
If Matt Moore starts, no, I'm not loving him. He wasn't great in the game last week. But Kelsey's price tag of 22, that is kind of tempting as a pivot away from Waller. I don't think he'll project as well as Waller if Matt Moore starts.
Mm-hmm.
But we know the talent is there.
Yeah, makes sense. So Kelsey's still at $22. Tyreek Hill 33. Are these just then complete fades for you with Moore at the helm?
If Matt Moore starts, yeah, I mean it's hard to love these guys because they're priced as if Mahomes starts. But
Yeah.
LaShawn McCoy at 15, you gotta have some interest in that, right?
Yeah, that's not a bad price point, actually. Yeah, and he's been getting more and more of the workload as this has gone on. You have him graded out as a C for points and an A for value, so don't hate that call. As well, like I think Travis Kelce at $22 is a pretty reasonable price. Not grading out as a great value for you, but still I think has some upside there, and it'll be interesting to see how the ownership comes down on that one. Whereas Tyreek Hill at $33, I think to me is just more of a more full fade territory than anything. I'm not sure Matt Moore is going to be able to get him the ball deep, but stranger things have happened, I guess. And then, of course, you mentioned Dalvin Cook, $39. That's a tough one, especially on a slate with very little value to offset the cost of a running back at that price.
Yeah, man. Anyone that's close to $40,
not named Christian McCaffrey.
That's right. Yeah, maybe Christian McCaffrey might be justifiable at that price, but man, that's so much. You're paying 3.5 times more than any other player on the site.
Absolutely. All right, we got two games. We're going to go through them really quickly because I'm apparently talking too much. So let's go over to what am I looking at here? The Green Bay Packers visiting the Los Angeles Chargers, 48.5 total. Any general thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers offensive coordinator got canned, I think, so that kind of creates an interesting situation with Gordon and Eckler. They're both kind of cheap, so I don't mind taking a flyer and hoping that maybe Eckler gets some more of a workload with this new situation. In addition,
sorry, go ahead.
Was it Wisenhunt that was fired?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. And, I mean, Green Bay's defense they have been a little bit worse than average in both running and passing. So I think that creates the opportunity for the Chargers at home maybe to have quite a game, especially because Rodgers can come back and put up some points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think reasonable prices as well for Melvin Gordon and for Austin Eckler. Maybe you want to get in a week early on the Melvin Gordon train. I don't know. It hasn't been great so far this year. We may be facing a negative game script here. Austin Eckler, $19, C for points, B for value. Not a lot to love here. It's just kind of ugly all over the place. The one player that caught my eye, and I was actually surprised to see his grade so low, Keenan Allen, $26. You're not loving him too much this week.
Yeah, I gotta go back and take a look at this. Maybe let me just double check my numbers here, because last week was kind of an anomaly where they said he was going to be injured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I gotta go back and fix a little bit of this, but
yeah, he is limited to start. He was limited to start the week, but was a full participant in practice. So it is looking like he's going to be in a bounce back spot here. But we will have to wait until closer to game time, possibly. But yeah, that's the thing as well about these projections that come out. You do update them throughout the week as news and injuries are made clearer. So these will not be the final projections. You will get those usually on Sunday mornings, correct?
Yeah, I kind of update them throughout the week. I mean, there's so many factors that go into a projection, and a lot of it is kind of like massaging the numbers because, I mean, NFL, there's not that much data, so you got to kind of do the best you can with what you have. So it does require some kind of like manual intervention.
So it's an art form. Mike Williams, $17.
Yeah, definitely. That seems pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
He's been on the field a lot. He's got
suffering some touchdown regression this year.
Ooh, I don't like to hear that. But if that's reflected in the price tag, I don't hate it. And $17, if you're stacking up the game, certainly that you gotta love that.
All right, I like it. What about the Green Bay side? Aaron Rodgers not getting much ownership here. Is this another situation where it's just I know that you guys you were all on him, and it was such a smart move when he had that 5-6 touchdown game a couple weeks back at 1% ownership. I was off him, being the not as sharp as you guys are, obviously. Because I couldn't figure out who to pair him with. If Devonta Adams is in fact out, he was limited on Thursday. He may play though. If he's out, how are you approaching your Rodgers stacks this week?
Yeah, actually, honestly, I missed the Rodgers game too. It's too hard to figure out who to pair him with because they got kind of a rotation going. Let me pull up the snap counts for last week just so that we have a point of reference here. But okay, so Lazard, Allison, and Scanling all played about 3/4 of the snaps. And then we had Jake Kumro who played about a little bit less than a half. And that means no one guy is really going to stand out because none of them are on the field a ton.
Yeah.
The price tags, though, were pretty reasonable. 16 for MVS, 15 Allison. Alan Lazard is 10. I mean, he makes a nice play if Adams is out. If Adams is in, maybe I'll take a shot on Adams.
Is this a scenario? Would you ever in GPP just not stack a quarterback, or would you just rotate some of these wide receivers?
I think you gotta stack if you have Rodgers because presuming we're hoping for a 4 or 5 touchdown game from him.
Yeah.
That means some of these
guys. It's pretty rare where we have a scenario like 2 weeks ago where it's 5 different players getting touchdowns, right?
Yeah, and even in that game, I mean, there was at least a guy or two that had a really good game.
Yeah. Jimmy Graham was on some winning lineups for sure.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham got 14. That was pretty good for his salary. So at least one of these guys. I mean, if they get touchdowns, that pretty much pays off the salary, and then the yardage is just kind of gravy.
All right, I like it. Let's move it on. We got one final game to get to before we build some GPP and cash lineups here. We have the New England Patriots traveling to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson priced up a little bit here, but I I kind of like him in this matchup because I think he's going to go underrated. And New England plays a lot of man coverage, and Lamar Jackson has been able to exploit man coverage with his legs as well. Coming off a bye, I feel like Baltimore's going to have a little bit more time to game plan. Are you fully off him at this price point? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, tremendous player, but he's $37. So I mean, you need all the factors to click if you're going to pick him on Yahoo this week, and the matchups is too tough, I think. I mean,
yeah, makes sense.
It sounds like you really like him, but do you like him 37?
No, I know that's the tough part, right? He's expensive. It will be a contrarian play, though. I don't think he's going to get much ownership because people are a little bit scared of it. So, yeah, I mean, I think all signs point to this being a bad play at that price. But when if he's not going to be owned at all, I would consider it for sure. The other difficulty is figuring out who to pair him up with. We have Mark Andrews, who's $17, not grading out very well, and Marquise Brown, who's back possibly. But again, like this Patriots defense is so good, you're almost it's like the point that you made earlier on in the season where it's really difficult to figure out who to pair Lamar Jackson up with. We've been fortunate to have some big games with some of his receivers or with Mark Andrews, but are you still of that opinion?
I mean, it's kind of cleared up a little bit with Brown and Andrews, but the thing is, Lamar Jackson already is an excellent passer, and just throwing on top of that the fact that New England has allowed the lowest passing yards per play, like you gotta be pretty worried about Lamar Jackson's passing this week.
Well, that's because he's not. The Patriots aren't playing the Miami Dolphins for the first time in 8 weeks. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it on to the Patriots side of the ball. Just general thoughts on this one. Julian Edelman seems like a pretty good value at $24, especially because the Patriots really don't have a lot of wide receiver options other than maybe like Philip Dorsett, who gets a D for points and a B for value. Are you targeting the New England passing game here, the running game, or just not getting much at all?
Yeah, I think that Edelman would be the guy. Let's see the prices. Looks like James White's 13. You got all of that price. Dorsett 13, but Edelman's probably the highest projected player, so I think that makes sense. N'Keal Harry may play in this game, so that kind of complicates the wide receiver rotation a bit, but probably not. So I think that going to any of these guys is pretty fine.
All right, well, I'm going to be solo rostering Lamar Jackson, super expensive. The rest of my lineup is going to suck, but I'm going to be there hoping for a 70-point performance on Sunday night.
Just throw in James White, man. He'll save you the salary.
Exactly. James White we have at, where is he? $13. My God, that's got to be one of your better values on the slate, right?
Yeah, I mean, dude, he's been insane this year in the fact that, like, man, he's averaged between 9 and he's gotten between 9 and 11 points every single game. Like,
that's not.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's not normal. Like, you're gonna see some down games, you're gonna see some up games. So hopefully that makes a nice GPP play.
Absolutely, yeah, $13. I think at that price point as well, you can use them in GPP, but also in cash. Do you like? I mean, I guess you downgrade him a little bit with these half-point PPR situations, but still a great player, right?
Yeah, and we saw a couple weeks ago, like, he had some touchdowns that got reversed. So, I mean, still a bit of bad luck on his results so far.
I like it. All right, talk to me about what we got going on over at Awesemo.com. Your top stacks tool. We got a new expert survey as well where you give out some of your favorite picks. Just tell us a little bit about what we've got, Alex.
Yeah, that's right. I think I mean, we kind of have something for everyone. So we have the projections. I mean, those are kind of the foundation of the process where you know how good is a play each week. Ownership, it tells you like what kind of what kind of risk reward you're getting with each player. Top stacks kind of adds in that new factor where it's like, well, maybe this team is highly owned because they're cheap, but they're not that good, so it might be worth paying up for like a more expensive team that's lesser owned. And I mean, we got the expert survey now, so it's kind of a nice thing where if you want a little bit of additional analysis in addition to all the written and video content we're producing on a day-to-day basis, you can kind of go there and get some quick ideas for where to start your lineup.
Yeah, 100%. You can go over to the site, use promo code NFL Strategy, and get half off your first week or month. Come on, join the team. We also got the best Slack chat around. We got Adam Pfeiffer always in there answering questions, Rod before lock. So yeah, just come on in and join. I think it's probably going to be money well spent, especially if you're a regular DFS player, for sure. We have express packages starting as low as $3.95 as well per week. So, all right, we got 20 minutes left in this show, which is perfect timing to start up our cash game and GPP picks. Let's build a couple GPP lineups.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to defer to you here because I'm at a loss for this slate. I don't know what to do with the lack of value and how to approach it from the perspective of kind of not sort of having a clear stack or a clear team to target. How are you approaching this slate?
So the way to start off, I think maybe we build one chalk stack and one contrarian stack. So I think maybe just looking at the ownership could be informative. Russell Wilson, $38, man. He's the second most popular quarterback. Is that surprising?
That's crazy.
Josh Allen leads it off versus Washington. And Jameis is third place. So any one of those guys you're leaning toward?
Let me just pull it up. So I would, let's see here.
Yeah, there must be something wrong with this. It says Mitch Trubisky is projected to be 6% owned.
My God, what's going on, people? That's so weird and getting a ton of ownership, it looks like, for Josh Allen up against Washington, $27. Russell Wilson, number 2, $38. Mitch Trubisky, my God. I actually maybe don't hate that call against a pretty weak Philly secondary, but maybe this is the week you win someone $1 million again. What are these top options are your favorites?
I'd say probably, this Tampa Bay-Seattle game we really like, and Winston is half his own as Wilson, so maybe I'd start off the lineup with that.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Now, are we going with double correlation, single correlation, throwing in Cameron Brate? What are we doing?
I think maybe single correlation. So, let's see. Mike Evans had the big game last week, so maybe we go with Godwin. What do you think?
I think we're capitalizing on the old recency bias, right? Maybe we're going to get a Mike Williams goose egg like you did in Week 6 versus New Orleans.
I like that. All right. And then we got to pick a Seattle player maybe to run it back with. Who are
you liking here? Is it Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf or Chris Carson?
I think we identify Carson as the best value of them, so maybe we get a little chalky there.
All right. Chris Carson?
Yep. All right. Now we can go to our kind of do you want to go with Waller, or do you want to try to go contrarian at tight end a little bit?
Well, let's do one. Is this our chalk stack or?
This is the chalk stack, so maybe we go contrarian.
So we're going contrarian
with the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, I gotcha. So what's your favorite contrarian tight ends on the board here? Let me just pull up ownership.
I think I don't have the ownership up, but I think that TJ Hawkinson versus Oakland is someone we kind of like. So maybe at $13, that'd be a nice
projected for under 2% ownership. It's looking like Waller, Kelsey, Ertz, and Andrews are going to get the largest share of the ownership pie this week.
Okay.
So fire up some TJ Hawkinson at a bare min price here.
Yeah. Wide we kind of identified that. Let's see. I think we found some like wide receiver 2s that are pretty well priced. So
Julian Edelman, $24. That's probably your only like A grade C value in the rankings there.
Okay.
Mike Williams as well.
So which one of those guys do you like better?
So we got $21. Let's. I don't mind firing off a little Julian Edelman at $24.
I like it. All right.
He is questionable, so we'll have to watch that one. Odell Beckham Jr. limited tag. I'm sneakily possibly on the Browns this week, Alex. We'll see. Should we pop in a defense here?
That's it. All right.
So we got.
Let's start at the bottom and kind of work our way up here.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like our two best options on defense are the Cleveland Browns, which actually, I mean, that's going to be chalk, but I don't hate it at all. Going up against a rookie quarterback, or the Washington football team.
Yeah, man. Washington, since Josh Allen is the chalk, maybe that's going to be pretty contrarian. What do you think?
Oh, I like it. I like it. All right, let's pop it in there.
Okay.
Josh Allen's been known to turn the ball over on occasion, so.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
All right, we got about $24 left remaining. Do we want to take some of these cheaper running backs? We got Derrick Henry in a pretty good spot against Carolina, $19.
Wow.
Anyone else catching your eye?
That definitely catches my eye. I mean, well, Carolina's it should be about an even matchup, I think. So maybe Henry's the guy that really hasn't had a big game in a while. So I think that maybe people will be off him. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen people predicting the smash spot for a while now with Henry, and it just hasn't come to fruition. Tevin Coleman ate them alive last week. He's a pretty reliable play and at a pretty good price, so I got no problem firing that up.
That's it.
All right, $26 left per player. We've got wide receiver need. We got Keenan Allen, 26. We've got Juju. We have got Odell Beckham Jr. against Denver. Anyone in this range catching your eye?
The guy that's catching my eye. I mean, now we have enough money to get Mike Evans and
that's double stack. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if Winston gets 4 touchdowns, like that could win you a GPP easily.
All right, I love it. Flex spot. We got $23 left remaining. Gonna name some players. We got the possible double tight end stack. Travis Kelce there. James Conner questionable up against Indianapolis. They give up a lot of catches to opposing running backs. Darren Waller. We could also go with the double tight end. One of your favorite contrarian moves in GPPs. Anybody in this range sticking out to you?
I think Waller makes a nice play. We kind of talked about how good he's been. Maybe tight end double stack with Hunter Henry too. Like he's been pretty hot since he's gotten off the injured list here.
Where is Hunter Henry? Let's see. Hunter Henry at the Packers, eh? Yeah, 6, 8, 9 targets. I mean, that'll be that's going to be a pretty contrarian move here. So your call.
All right, so let's see. We really have 2 contrarian plays right now, Hawkinson and the Redskins, right? So do you think we should go for chalk or should we go contrarian?
I'm okay going for chalk. Unless you and I weren't building this on a video, I don't think anyone's got this lineup.
That's right. Okay, so maybe Waller.
All right, let's throw it in.
Now we can go back and see, is there any way we want to spend those $2?
Do we want to yeah, I don't know. It looks, I mean, what would be the upgrade there? Maybe like Edelman at wide receiver or Derrick Henry at running back. Those would be the only 2, right?
Yeah, I think maybe we'll leave it. Those don't seem like upgrades that much.
All right.
Well, when we win this 25K together, maybe we can pop some bottles.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, let's roll up a contrarian stack here.
Okay.
Just gonna pull up. We should probably when you're building a contrarian stack like this, you often just start with the quarterback and see what the ownership is like.
Yeah, definitely got the ownership up here. Tyrod Taylor getting some ownership. What's the deal with that?
What?
Anyway, all right. So we got I guess there's some backups listed. Stafford at 2.8%. We got Jacoby Brissett. No T.Y. Hilton. It just came through the waiver or the wire here. So
T.Y. Hilton's out.
Yeah. I think the contrarian plays either Carr or Stafford since we like that game.
Stafford?
Yeah. Both around 3%.
What's 3% for those guys? See, that's like I'm surprised at that because this is the second highest total game in the slate. So I'm fine with either one. Probably take the savings and the $8 savings on Carr though, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's gonna be one of my favorite moves this week. That's nuts.
So we gotta go Waller, right?
Yeah, I gotta go Waller, and then
Okay.
we can differentiate elsewhere. Do you want to go for the double stack? Do you want to take Terrell Williams or no dice?
He's expensive. I mean, how do you feel about it?
I'm indifferent. I defer.
Um, let's throw
$20.
let's throw him in there. I think maybe because Carr doesn't run the ball, you need more than one guy to go off. So it's pretty easy to pick the top two there.
That is a good point. Who are we bringing this back with? Kenny Galladay's expensive. Marvin Jones a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, Marvin Jones. Let's lock him in.
Terrell Williams also had a 90% offensive snap count and led the team in run last week, coming back from injury. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident as well. He can always take the top off of defense. So fire me up some Terrell Williams. I like that. Marvin Jones.
Marvin Jones, got him.
Would you consider throwing Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay in a game stack like this in a large GPP?
Yeah, I think it's worth consideration, but one potential issue with that is that if both Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay go off, maybe having Stafford in the quarterback would be the play. So it's a little bit like competition with Stafford stacks if we throw in two guys.
Makes total sense to me. All right, so we got $22 left remaining. We want to fire up a defense here, or place the defense.
Let's put it in a defense.
So Cleveland Browns maybe $12. I like that. I don't know. They're going up against a rookie quarterback. That seems like a pretty good spot. Let's just check their ownership here. I'm guessing, yes, they are the most owned defense of the week, 20%. Are you good with that, or do you want to go to something less owned?
The Browns? So yeah, let's do it because, I mean, that's a great value.
Yeah. All right. Now we got some money left over. I like this stack a lot.
Awesome. Well,
so we got Derrick Henry. We got Chris Carson. We've got Le'Veon Bell, who I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'm pretty high on Bell this week. That seems like a pretty reasonable price. What's your take?
$26. That's a bargain because he's facing Miami.
Yeah, exactly. We have Ezekiel Elliott graded out as probably the best play on this, but unfortunately doesn't play until Monday night.
Yeah,
so
Leonard Fournette also not on the slate.
I know, man. Like we got and no Saquon. Like we're hurting for running back options this week. So let's Le'Veon Bell, good value, good grade for you. I like that a lot. Happy to go back with Derrick Henry or Chris Carson if you like them. I feel like Marlon Mack also probably in play a little bit, though not grading out too well for you.
Yeah, I think who was the first guy you mentioned? Sorry.
Derrick Henry and Chris Carson.
Okay, yeah. I think we got the Contrarian Stack, so maybe hop in one of these chalk guys. What do you think?
Let's do it. Who's getting all the ownership here?
I have to imagine it's Carson. I mean, let's take a 40%. Really, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty high.
That's pretty high, actually. Going up against one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So
what about McCaffrey? Maybe spending up.
I like it, actually. I like that call.
All right,
let's do it. We can find value elsewhere.
We got $36 left. That's enough.
Oh, that's tons of money.
Yeah.
All right, let's head down to wide receiver here. We're going to have to find a value play. We could always load up Danny Amendola in the double stack there.
Yeah. Mike Williams, 17 seems like a good idea.
I like that. Let's go with Mike Williams.
All right, let's do it.
And then, lo and behold, we got enough money for Derrick Henry in that flex spot.
I love it. All right.
Oh, man, this is the lineup.
Yeah, guys.
I'm gonna have to change one thing, but I like this lineup a
lot. We told you to split this money with us, but if you could not enter that lineup, because I think
don't enter that one.
Me and Nolan just want that $25K to ourselves too.
I like it. All right, we got about 5 minutes left. Let's build a cash lineup.
All right, let's
see. We're going to be using a few of the players that we've talked about so far.
I see this $3 50 person 50-50, so I'm going to throw it in this one.
I like it.
of course, with cash, in general advice, enter the largest fields you can find. So 50 is the largest guarantee here.
Sounds good. So,
Mitch Trubisky, quarterback, $20.
yeah, love it. I love it. Let's get back. Come on, Mitch. You've given everyone money, and now you're terrible. I don't know what happened.
All right, so who should we actually go for?
Oh, you were joking. Or I'm like totally into this roster, Mitch Trubisky. Okay, let's take a look here.
All right, so going from bottom to the top, I mean, Rivers versus Green Bay, 27. Josh Allen, 27 versus Washington. I have to think that's the cash play, right?
That's got to be the cash play because you got the rushing upside too, right?
Yeah, he's a good individual player, but like finding a stack there that works out with the challenge.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cash play. I'm guessing if you're going to be playing in cash, a lot of people are going to be rostering Darren Waller, but I don't really have a problem doing that.
Darren Waller. Oh, my bad. Actually, it was on the wrong tab here. So there's a lot of cash options. $10, 100% single entry.
Yeah.
50-50. I like that. Okay, so Josh Allen, Darren Waller we were putting in.
Yeah, I like Darren Waller. I think the ownership's actually pretty spread out at the top here. So
awesome. And
defense, popping in the Browns.
Yeah. And now we got we love Bell at 26 and Carson at 22, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, wide receivers. That's gonna be the tough one, I think.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but I think if we start out with if we do Mike Williams at $17,
yeah,
that gives us a little bit of leeway, and as well, I'm guessing are we gonna pop Derrick Henry in that flex spot?
I think so. I mean, you gotta love it.
So let's pop Derrick Henry in there. And then that gives us some money. $28 for 2 wide receivers. That's pretty good.
Maybe Mike Evans or Godwin.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I think like as well. Like I like Edelman in cash. I mean, you've got like at least some safety with the amount of targets and receptions he's going to get. Yeah. We didn't end up rostering James White as well. Does that appeal to you at that price point or?
He does, but there really aren't that many expensive wideouts to get. So.
Yeah.
Maybe not in cash.
So Mike Evans or Chris Godwin? Or Devontae Adams?
I'm pretty ambivalent between Godwin and Evans. Is there one like you prefer?
Well, we had Godwin in our GBP, so maybe we take Evans in our cash.
Yeah, I like it.
And then Keenan Allen removed from the injury report, $26. I know he doesn't grade out well for you yet, but I'm guessing that'll probably change a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think that's a fair price for him for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, we got a cash lineup ready to roll.
Definitely split this with you guys here.
I feel like that's a pretty good cash lineup.
I agree. Let's you know what? Let's fire up Fantasy Cruncher and we can see how that compares to like the optimal.
I like it.
All right. Of course, hand building, it's a little bit tougher to like crunch all the numbers, so see how we did. Winston, Henry, Bell, Lockett, Williams, Edelman, Waller, Jacobs, and the Browns.
Yep.
So we got most of those guys.
Jacobs? No. Oh, that's the optimal.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we got most of those guys.
Awesome. Yeah, good job. Good job, us.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Yahoo Power Hour with Alex Osmo Baker and myself, Nolan Kelly. We got about 2 minutes left here. I'll just talk a little bit about what we've got coming up. We have On the Contrary tomorrow with Jeff Ulrich from DraftKings. He's going to be breaking down the slate with Chris Spags. That is at 2 o'clock Eastern. I get that time wrong every time I say it. Just want to double check and make sure I'm right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice. Looks like Randone has a last-minute bachelor emergency, so we'll be probably filling in for him tomorrow morning on the NFL Strategy Show with Sal Vetri. Of course, we have loads of fantasy basketball coverage, loads of we got the deeper dive, we got live before lock, Jake Hari and Slim Cliffy as well. If you're an NHL player, those two are going live in 2 hours to break down the NHL slate today. So lots of great content coming up. We appreciate you guys watching and all of your support. And we will see you back here next week when we break down the Week 10 slate. And that's it. We're in the second half of the NFL season. It's crazy. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.